Good evening. This is Jack from Charting the Markets, and this is the Bigger Picture webinar for the night of Sunday, the 22nd of December. My disclaimer, I do this for educational purposes only. I'm here to share my technical analysis with you. I hope you can take some of what I'm doing, learn from it, transfer it to your own charts. I'm not here to issue trading signals. Right. Okay. ES, obviously we saw the big decline after the Fed announcement last week, and we saw the big rally on Friday, which I'd called in the morning, and did a post about, so hopefully you caught that. And we have made the buy signal targets. We had across the board buy signal targets on all of the equity indices, on all 6 of the equity indices I'm following. And we made target on ES, NQ, RTY, on Dow, but we haven't made the targets yet on DAX or ESTX. So how's it looking from here? Well, technically, we could, of course, fail here. I'm thinking that the odds probably favour being the rally continuing for much of next week. Obviously, we've got a full day on Monday. I think we've got a half day on Tuesday. And then, obviously, Wednesday's Christmas Day. And Thursday, I think we have a full day and a full day on Friday. If we're going to see trouble, I'm thinking we're probably not going to see it stop before Thursday. And really, I'd be leaning more towards next week. In terms of New Year, we've got New Year's Day is on the Wednesday. So I think I can't remember whether the day before is a half day or something, but I think it's a full day. So really, actually, we don't have an awful lot of holidays. We don't really have a long weekend. I think once we get back, where it has it to have another leg down, but I'll be talking more about that as we look at the RTH charts. Here we are on ES. We saw a very nice rally. It actually went up almost 200 points. No sell signal here at the moment, but if we retest this high here and fail there, then it could be that we're going to get started earlier than I expected. NQ obviously made the target, no negative divergence. RTY made the target, no negative divergence. I would note that this held a previous high, which is now the new weekly pivot at 22.94. So this is actually significant resistance, which may, of course, not be overtaken. Now, we could, of course, be forming a right shoulder here. I'm skeptical about seeing too much upside, but if we do have a stronger rally than expected, we could, of course, start retesting the highs. In terms of Dow, nice rally. Not really a double bottom here. If it did, it would probably have a minimum target in about the 43,850 area. But I'm going to be watching these for negative divergence, but I'd really be a bit surprised if we saw significant downside on Monday and Tuesday. From Thursday, we're at hazard. So we will see how it goes. DAX and STX haven't made the targets yet, and probably I think will if the markets are, if the rally continues another couple of days. So we will see how it goes. All right, let's have a look at those on the bigger picture charts. And let's have a look at SPX first. Now, what have we done here? Well, we've got a rising wedge, and it's a nice rising wedge from the August low. And that's now broken down. And if we have a look at this on the hourly chart, we have done probably a first leg down here, and I'm thinking we may well be forming head and shoulders. But what I would say is this kind of wedge, when you see a breakdown from here, normally you form a topping pattern and you continue down. And really at minimum, I'd expect to see a 38.2% retracement. Now it could be this is just going to evolve into a larger pattern to the upside. But to be honest, I was expecting to see trouble in late December or very possibly in early January, and I think this has just arrived early. That being the case, I think we're probably topping out here, and I'm quite liking this possible head and shoulder head and shoulder setup with an ideal right shoulder high in the 6017 area. If we have a look at the hourly chart, we've also got an hourly RSI 14 buy signal fix, and that hasn't made target yet. And we have another one of those on the Qs. We have another one of those on Dia. We don't have one of those on IWM, but this is quite a lot of buy signal, and generally speaking, these buy signals will make target. So the new weekly pivot is at 59.50, so slightly above where we actually closed. I would say the one concern I had looking at the chart here was we actually did a pretty solid looking backtest of this broken support trend line. This is a possible fail area, and it could be that we're going to fail directly and go lower. It's just a little hard to imagine on the 23rd and 24th of December managing any significant downside. I'm not sure I can remember that happening in the past. I don't think it has. Not in the last 15 years. I'd be surprised to see it this time, but always possible, of course. All right, on the Qs. We didn't manage to get back above the daily middle band, closed at 518, and that's at 519.68. Doesn't necessarily need to get back above, but but it probably does need to if we're going to get to, because I'm thinking that we may well be going to backtest the daily middle band on SPX, and if we're going to do that, then obviously we're going to need to go a bit higher. That's at 6021. If we're forming a head and shoulders, that's a pretty close match with the 6017 ideal right shoulder high. So I'm thinking we may well be doing that, but we probably require more from the Qs to do that. But we've certainly got the hourly buy signal for it. I really like these buy signals. They do generally make target. Not always. This one failed. And we haven't seen a lot of buy signals lately just because we haven't really gone down enough to generate buy signals. But we have this time, and I'm liking this one getting to target. Looking at the 15-minute chart, we've still got some open buy signals here, but they've pretty much made the possible near miss targets, and we broke all these potential support levels at the gaps. We've got more gaps below, and I'm leaning towards this going lower. In terms of how much lower, I drew in the 50%. Well, the minimum really should be 494, which is the 38.2. But I think there's a pretty good case for actually potentially retesting this high, setting up a double top, and then heading down to between the 50% and the 61% at about 466 to 480 area. On Dire, again, wondering about the daily middle band as a target. I've currently got that at 414.94. This was slower off the ground, and of course, Dire and IWM were leading the downside. So I'm not that surprised to see it getting off slowly off the ground, but this isn't looking too bad. And I'm still quite liking the upside here. What I would note here is, though, is this flag here broke up and then broke against expectation. It could be that we could head down to this target. I have existing targets here, and I also have a pattern on IWM. Let's have a look at that. All right, IWM. IWM, we had this very nice looking flag, and that broke down. So that's broken down with a target down here in the 213 area. And also, we had a potential double top, and it was rather a nice one, and that's broken down too. So this has got a target down here in about the 206 to 209 area, and that is a full reversal pattern that has already broken down. So I'm thinking we can rally up a bit, probably not leaning against filling this gap here up into about 231, and we would see how it went from there. On the daily chart, we're a long way below the daily middle band, but I'm really liking the bounce here. I had a lot of indicators. We were hitting 3SD lower bands. I was getting buy signals. And one other thing, I've mentioned this every so often, but this is a good guide and it's worth mentioning. The SPX ADP chart. Here, this is a warning chart. When you reach the top black line or the bottom black line, it's a pretty good warning that you're about to turn back up again, or turn down again. And generally speaking, this works pretty damn well. And obviously, we actually made almost the lowest low apart from these two that we've made in quite a while, and both of those saw large bounces. We've not really made it back up over the black line much yet, and you can see the last couple. Certainly, and this one here did a decent bounce, came back, and then did it. It's but I'm leaning towards seeing a bit more upside. That would be usual on a move up from the from this lower line on my SPX ADP chart. We will see. All right, let's have a look at the DAX and Nikkei charts. DAX, we saw a decent decline here. We're back below the daily middle band. We've actually got some really weak sell signals here. The RSI 5 one's already made target, but I have to say this isn't a level where I'd actually usually notice it as a sell signal, so I haven't. But I am thinking this may well go lower. I'm thinking all of these may well go lower. Nikkei made it back to 40.1, never retested the 40.3K high, and we are back below the daily middle band. I'm leaning towards the downside. But I'm thinking we see this rally and then we see what happens there. But I think I'm thinking we might have a pretty bad year on equities next year. are kind of like the bull flag we were forming throughout 2022. So we will see how that goes. It's but I think we've certainly had a couple of very good years. It's overdue for a retracement. Valuations are reaching, frankly, scary levels. And we've got a lot of uncertainty next year. The new administration, they're going to shake a lot of trees. That is going to affect confidence, and it's going to change a lot of variables. And the market doesn't like a lot of disruption. So I'm thinking if we are going to see a retracement, this is a good time to see it. And I'm thinking that retracement may actually be sooner rather than later. So we will see how that goes. All right, great. Let's have a look at, bear with me a moment, let's have a look at the CL chart. All right, CL. CL's still in the range, and this kind of looks like a bull flag forming, so I'm wondering about a retest of this high. But if we're going to stay in this range and continue making lower highs and higher lows, then we're going to turn down here. So watching for that, and obviously I'll talk more about that on the daily chart. NG, this has actually had a very, very strong week last week, and actually this has taken us over a key level on the upside. So I will have a look at that. So let's have a look at that now, and talk about the implications of that. Okay, on oil, obviously we're still trading this range. On the W tick chart, we had this triangle. We broke down with a target at 63.57, and we're not that far away from that target. We're holding the daily middle band at the moment, but if we break back through it, then we're just continuing this long consolidation. And the obvious target to go to after this consolidation is to go and test this target here at 63.57. And I was leaning towards decline on natural gas as well. Now, natural gas actually has a seasonal decline, which is seen most years in about December to April. So you can see here we make a high in actually January, and then we decline into late February. And then we kick around until April, and then we start moving up again. Here, this was obviously a huge decline, but again, it stops. It hits a low in February, it hits another low in April, and then it's up for the rest of the year. This is a seasonal pattern, which is a pretty strong seasonal pattern. We're not necessarily going to see it every year, but if we have a look back through a few years, again, we're making a low not too far away from April. Again, this one is like April, May. In this year, we're seeing a decline into the beginning, and then we're kicking around, and then we start rising seriously in March. This is a strong seasonal pattern, and I'm thinking we may well see this deliver again. Even in this year, we actually came down from October and made a low in like January and didn't make a huge amount of progress before April. And then we saw the big move up. So this is a very strong seasonal pattern, and I was thinking we might well be forming an inverted head and shoulders and form a right shoulder low, and we could still do that just about, but I am wondering whether we're breaking up into an alternative. I've drawn in a couple of alternative options. This is a rising megaphone option. It's quite a nice one actually, with the resistance trend line currently at about the 4.4 to 4.5 area, and also this could all be a somewhat asymmetric double bottom with a minimum target in the 533 area. So we have broken up last week, and I'm watching to see what happens with that. But it could well follow through to the upside. We will see. But it is against the seasonal tide, and we may well find that we make a high here and then go down for a couple of months fairly seriously, and then make a low. And that wouldn't be uncommon to see. All right, let's have a look at GC. GC, a lot. Well, I'm going to come to the dollar, but a lot of this setup here really depends on where the dollar is. Now, the dollar looks as though it's got an opportunity to turn back down here. We've got some negative divergence. We've got a nice looking double top. We could see a major reversal, in which case I'd be expecting metals to head up. In the short term, we've got this rising wedge, which has broken down, hasn't made target at a retest this low here at 25.65, but it's the sort of pattern I wouldn't be that surprised if it didn't make the target. But what I'm wondering on the daily chart is whether this is an A, B, C, and that we're going to make lower lows. And I think we might still do that. Silver has already made lower lows. From these ones here, we had a nice double bottom. It broke up, and then it failed. Nice buy signal here. That's already made target. I'll be talking more about this on the daily chart. On HG, I'm leaning towards seeing a retest this low, and we almost made it, but not quite. I've got that in about the 4.07 area, and we've made it to 4.08. Might that be enough? Possibly. To give me the double bottom that I was looking for potentially. So I'm watching it, but I would lean towards seeing the full retest at 4.07. All right, let's have a look at those on the bigger picture charts. Right, GC. GC, I'm wondering about a bullish triangle forming here, in which case we would have made the short-term low. I've drawn that in, but at the moment we're waiting for a decision as to whether, we're going to go lower. We will see how that goes. We've got no positive divergence on the daily chart, no divergence on the weekly chart either, really. We have at the moment broken that back below the daily middle band, and if we are going to break back above, the first signs are really going to be us getting back over that. I've got that currently at about the 2670 area. Break and convert that back to support, and the situation turns significantly more bullish. Right, silver. Silver, this has made a lower low. I've drawn in a possible head and shoulders here, mainly because it looks quite nice from a technical point of view, but it's actually too large, which is why I haven't put in the down arrows for the target here, because really it's about 50% larger than it should be at maximum to reverse the trend up from here. We'll see how that goes. Is this a bull flag forming? No, I don't think it is. It's just about possible, but I'm skeptical. I'm thinking we may head lower here. I would say I would be most surprised to see us get below this big support level in the 26.5 area, but I wouldn't be surprised to see us go lower than we are at the moment. We will see. No current positive divergence. I would love to see some develop. And of course, we see a bit of a rally and we see a retest that low, we could get that. All right, looking at palladium, I was looking for a retest of the low, and we've seen it. Potential double bottom here, and it's quite a nice one. Sustained break up over the 1055 area would take us to about 1210. On platinum, we've got a possible weak RSI 5 buy signal brewing. Don't know how seriously to take that really, but we do also have a potential double bottom here, so we will see. We've really got a nested double bottom here. We've got this larger one here, and then we've got this smaller one here. This could be about to head up seriously. We will see. And we've got a bit of positive divergence, although this isn't as strong as I like my bicycle divergences to be. All right, HG. HG, no current positive divergence, although I do note that we've got a buy signal fixed on the RSI 2. I don't tend to use this much, but it does tend to be a good indicator of more upside coming in the near future. So I'm thinking we may well be seeing that. In terms of the bigger picture chart, no retest of 4 as yet. Obviously, the key resistance we've got here is the 200 DMA at 4.34. Pretty hard fell when we got there last time. If we are going to see a sustained move to the upside, we need to get back over the 50 DMA, currently at 4.25, and the 200 DMA. So I'll be watching for that. On GDX, we've got... This could be a flag. It doesn't really look to be a large reversal pattern of any kind. GDX on the hourly chart, there's no signals on either of these. Looking a bit oversold, but if this is a flag, then it could go a bit lower, but I wouldn't want it to go an awful lot lower. GDXJ looks pretty much the same, slightly different, but I mean, really, we're just, at the moment, the obvious read on the pattern setup here would be bull flag in both instances. We shall see. All right, let's have a look at the ZB chart. Okay, ZB, we had a potential... Well, we had a nice looking rally here. We had an IHS, it broke up and it fell, and we went into lower lows. I'm thinking that we're probably resuming the downside here, but I'll talk more about that on the TNX chart and why I think that. DX, sorry, DX, we've retested the high, and we've got a nice looking second high of double top. We had a 60-minute sell signal here. That's made target. Pulled back a bit, so this could be a double top here, and a sustained break below 105 would take us back into about the 102 area. But I've got more to say about these on the bigger picture charts because they are interesting on both currencies and bonds. Okay, look at the DX chart. We've got an old RSI 14 sell signal fixed on the daily, which I'm not actually taking that seriously at this stage. But on the USD chart, we've actually got a possible RSI 14 sell signal brewing on the USD index chart, and that I am taking more seriously. Now, there's certainly scope to go upside. I've got a potential trend line here in about the 109.6 area. And on the bigger picture, if we pull back and look at the much bigger picture, I am wondering here whether we might see a run up to retest this high at 114.75 to make the second high of a double top, because we could be making a large reversal down here and we don't yet have a reversal pattern. Now, I know it looks a little wild to be talking about getting up to 114.75, but we've already made it from under 100 to 108. It's not a vast stretch, and I have seen some wild retests over the years to make the second high of a double top before it fell. I am wondering whether we're going to see that here. But with short term, we're close to the daily upper bands. We've got daily negative divergence. We've got weekly negative divergence on both RSI 5 and RSI 14, although it's only strong really on the RSI 5. This is actually not a bad place to reverse if we're going to. And this actually could all be a bear flag. So I'm watching that. I'm watching that with interest, and I'm wondering whether that could be the case. Do we have any decent trend lines for a bear flag here? No, and it'd be very helpful if we did, because that would give us a much better indication that we're forming a flag. But if you look here, we don't have a channel, because if we did, these would line up, and they don't quite. Channels don't tend to overthrow, so close doesn't really cut the mustard. We don't really have an obvious trend line on the upside. I mean, this could be a bear flag, but I would have much more confidence about that if I had decent trend lines here, and I don't have them. So we shall see. All right, looking at TNX on the much bigger picture. On the this is on the weekly chart, but this is this flag I'm showing on the daily chart. This is a very nice bull flag wedge. It has already underthrown there. We saw a slight break over resistance, and I was saying we might well see a pullback and then follow through. And if we did follow through, which of course we're doing, then I'd be looking for the flag target, which would be a test of 49.97. Now, there are some other options. We could form a larger flag, come down, set up a trend line here, and then maybe make a lower low. But the fact is, this is already plenty large, and I'm expecting to see turbulence on the bond markets next year. That could take us, that could take levels lower. More likely it would be higher, but I'm thinking this flag will take us back to 49.97, and then we have a big inflection point, and we will see how it goes. And at that inflection point, we could form a double top and then head down again. Or if the bond market is really going to have some troubles next year, we can actually be working our way through this resistance area between about 4 and 5.5, and we could be breaking up from it. This could be an IHS, and I'd be talking more about this if this was a better quality IHS, but this could be an IHS breaking up with the target in the 8.1 area, and that would actually be pretty much the 50% retracement of this huge bear market in bond yields between 1980 and I think there was 1982 and 2020. And it would be, so it's actually quite an attractive target. I am wondering whether we might hit it. We will see. All right, let's have a look at KC. KC, I'm still leaning towards, we've got crop failures, crop problems. I'm leaning towards this going higher. And first off, I'm expecting to see a retest of this high here in the 350 area. Looking at the SB charts, this did look like a long bullish consolidation, but it looks less like that now. Since it's broken down here, we've got a 60-minute buy signal fixed, not delivered a great deal so far. And I've got more to say about this on the daily chart. CC has been trending higher. 60-minute sell signal reached the possible near miss target, and that may well be done. So I'm thinking if it is done, then we'll probably go back and retest this high. This looks just like a bullish consolidation at the moment. On CT, we retested the low as expected. This could be the second low of a double bottom. No current positive divergence though. but a setup which looks as though it might well be bottoming. On ZW, we went and retested the low as I expected, and we went a bit lower, which I was hoping we wouldn't. The double bottom is still possible here, but not as nice as it was. So we will see. We have got a week 60-minute buy signal fixed. Looking at the corn chart, this looks like a flag which has broken up. I'd be leaning towards seeing a retest of this high here in the 451 area. On soy, we retested the low again as expected and went considerably lower, which is what I was hoping wouldn't happen. So this doesn't look like a reversal pattern anymore. I think this may be a larger overall pattern. If so, I'm not really liking where this low is here, and I'm wondering if it might go a bit lower. But I've got more to say about this on the daily chart. Looking at the lumber chart, we saw a very nice sudden rally, and I think we're probably wending our way back up into a retest that high at 580. Don't know if it's going to get any further. Live cattle. This had a nice looking double top that made target, went below the monthly pivot and then recovered above it. No current positive divergence, but I'm thinking we may be heading up into a retest of the high. Lean hogs, this looks like a bull flag which is starting to break up. If so, I'd be looking for a retest of the high here, just under 90. So we shall see. All right, great. In that case, let's have a look at those on the bigger picture charts. On KC, we've got a possible RSI 14 sell signal brewing, and it's nice. Against that, we've got back on actual Earth. We've got crop failures and pressure to the upside on coffee. I'm leaning towards that delivering to the upside for at least some more upside, but this is due quite a large retracement at some stage. But it just strikes me the background doesn't really look right to do that now. Sugar, this looks like a long bull flag forming, and then it did this. So I am wondering if we might be forming. There's a potential head and shoulder option. I was looking on the much longer term chart, which I'll be showing between Christmas and New Year. But this has certainly opened the way to further downside. No current positive divergence, but this looks very oversold short term. So I'm leaning towards seeing a bounce. On CC, nice move up. No current negative divergence. I mean, this kind of looks like the Rocky Mountains, but you can see when we go up and we do these huge moves on the RSI, we do tend to set up negative divergence before we see a big reversal. And that's what I'm leaning towards doing here. So we haven't seen, I'd be expecting to see at least one more high, generally speaking. Wheat, we've got an RSI 14 buy signal fixed, not been delivering a great deal so far. I do have a nice looking wedge here, which I'm watching. Haven't quite reached support at the moment. On corn, we have bigger picture. This looks a lot less bullish than the wheat chart, which is looking much more encouraging for a bottom here. Here, I'm wondering whether this is a bear flag forming, and it could be. If we get there, I'll be watching declining resistance currently in the 465 area. On soy, no current divergence. We actually had a weak RSI 14 buy signal, but that failed on this latest move down. I don't really have an option. I don't really have a good option. I'm going to be looking at all the long-term charts for the webinars I do between Christmas and New Year, and maybe coming up with some charts then. But at the moment, this is looking much less like a low than it has been looking for months because of this lower low here. So we will see how that goes. All right, looking at cotton, nice looking potential level bottom here. No current divergence though on the daily chart, but we are retesting this low here, and we have gone slightly below it now. This is a very nice looking potential overall double bottom. This one we were looking on the hourly chart is just this little bit here. This is a much larger potential bottoming setup, which really could deliver. But I'd be more encouraged about that if we had some positive divergence on the daily chart. We may develop some. All right, great. In that case, I think it's a wrap. I'm not going to be doing a webinar on Wednesday because, well, it's Christmas Day. So I'm going to be doing my next one next Sunday. And everyone have a great holiday, and I'll see you next Sunday.